Good morning. My name is David Dellendorf. I indulge you to give me an extra 15 seconds or so. I'm here to comment on an issue of great concern to me and many other citizens of our county, several of whom are in the audience today. Specifically, I am outraged by the recent abuse of the county charter by Councilperson Bob Jarman, as well as the questionable judgment shown by County Manager Mike Thomas in not preventing Mr. Jarman from abusing the charter. On July 10, Sam Gibbet, manager of the Department of Development, and Mr. Thomas executed a 6-month contract with Lovel Pratt with a value of up to $5,000. The purpose of the contract was to advise the county on matters related to oil spill prevention, readiness, and response. Because the contract was for less than the required threshold, it did not require or receive prior approval of the council. On July 22nd, only 12 days after the contract was executed, Ms. Gibbon delivered a letter to Ms. Pratt advising her that the contract had been canceled. Under the terms of the contract, the county acted within its legal rights to cancel it for any reason, although doing so after only 12 days raises troubling questions. Ms. Gibbon told Ms. Pratt that Mr. Thomas had instructed her to cancel the contract, but that he had not given her a reason. So why was the contract canceled? As the contract was only 12 days old, with the only deliverable due within this period having been submitted to the county by Ms. Pratt on this very same day the contract was canceled, it cannot possibly have been because of Ms. Pratt's failure to meet any other obligations. And it cannot possibly be because of Ms. Pratt's qualifications, which had been vetted before the contract was signed. Moreover, she is the most qualified individual in our county to perform the work required. I do not believe that Mr. Thomas terminated the contract on his own initiative. As the council never held a public meeting on the issue, I believe that Mr. Thomas was instead illegally instructed to cancel it by Mr. Jarman for political reasons. Councilperson Rick Hughes has stated to me that he had no knowledge of the cancellation, which means that there was no public meeting of the council to deal with the termination. Section 2.2 of our county's Home Rule Charter as amended states, quote, no individual county council member shall direct or discipline or threaten to direct or discipline any county employee, whether department head, supervisor, or volunteer, unless such direction or disciplinary action has been first duly approved by the majority of the county council, unquote. There are several reasons for the inclusion of this wording in the charter, including the prevention of political meddling and of micromanagement by individual council members, which is exactly what happened in this case. Whether Mr. Thomas agreed with Mr. Jarman's instruction is unknown. In fact, Mr. Thomas should have questioned Mr. Jarman's authority to do so. I am concerned about this case for several reasons. It is inherently unfair to cancel a contract with anyone, let alone a person of Ms. Pratt's experience, capability, and integrity, only 12 days after it was signed. Also, cancellation puts at risk the council's ability to execute its documented legislative priority of fully and timely assessing oil spill risk and of implementing corresponding strategies of prevention, readiness, and response. Finally, and perhaps more importantly, one council member has shown at best a complete disregard for our county's charter. He has also demonstrated his willingness to submit to political pressure and to micromanage without authority while ignoring the effects on the morale of managers who have their authority undermined. This case cannot be allowed to set a precedent for similar future action by individual council members. If the council determines that my allegations are correct, I urge you to censure Mr. Jarman for violation of the county charter. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ms. Buffum, are you next?
No, I'm not.
Good morning. My name is Samuelson. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Lopez No Coalition and the San Juan's Alliance. And full disclosure, Ms. Pratt is a contributing member of that same committee on the San Juan's Alliance. And it's my opinion and my experience that she has been a very valuable and extremely knowledgeable person working with the Alliance. Her experience as a member of the County Council and as a representative of the Council on numerous working groups, both at the state level and local level, have been highly complimentary, at least to the Alliance and the people working on the steering committee. Excuse me. I'm disappointed that her contract between the county and her LLC was abruptly terminated after being signed. Apparently, this was at the request of one council member without consultation or public discussion or with other members of the council. In politics, just as in life, appearances are very, very important and can be as important as reality. What I know of this matter suggests to me that there is partisan and inappropriate political influence as possible motivations. This is not the government, not the governance that I voted for when I agreed with the Charter Review Committee to return management responsibilities to the council. I did not envision micromanagement by individual council members. It seems odd to me that with a multi-million-dollar budget for the county, that a contract for $5,000, apparently approved by a department head and with the concurrence, I hope, of the administrator, would prompt a single council person to rescind that contract. I remain disappointed. This type of non-consultative, inefficient micromanagement is why citizens lose faith in government and conclude why the government does not work very well and why managers and their morale will suffer if their decisions are not supported. I and other taxpayers deserve better. What happened to Ms. Pratt contract does not meet the standards of clean, transparent, and efficient governance. So I please ask you to correct this apparent and/or actual managerial misstep. If the council wishes to modify an existing contract or a contract, do so in public as is required. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On the second row is the next person who wants to speak. Anyone in the second row? The third row, so...
Tim, I signed up after you. So we're going off the list.
we go right to left, and
Sorry.
it's easier to run a meeting that way.
Thank you for hearing me. My name's Tim White. I live here on San Juan Island. When I moved to Orcas in 1990, I had a friend there who was having trouble with gravel from the grading on the top of the county road where a driveway came up. And so I asked a friend that worked for Public Works, and he said, ask your Orcas commissioner for Sunday brunch. That's the way to get that solved. We're a different county now. I don't want to go back to that method. I'm concerned about this micromanagement and that being a way to get things done. Second thing is, I sent in my comment, I think Monday or Tuesday is a deadline to get comments in on this oil spill issue. And this contract is really important. It's really important that the content of this contract, of what she is doing, get to the council in a timely way so that we can get our county word in. So I encourage you also to reverse this and clean up this process under the Open Public Meetings Act. Thank you.
So, Tim, what comment are you talking about?
Oh, this is it Stephanie you're speaking to this?
It's the August 6th.
The August 6th, it's election day.
But that's on something totally different than what we've been involved in. So that's on the Cherry Point dock extension, correct? Okay.
And real quick, if we can direct our comments to the person that's on the podium, if at all possible.
I did.
Well, you asked the question, Stephanie, so.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council. Stephanie Buffum, Executive Director of Friends of the San Juans. First of all, Rick, I'd like to say thank you for taking time to speak on behalf of San Juan County on these very important matters that we have never seen surrounding our shorelines. And I'm speaking specifically to the issue of oil spill prevention and readiness. I'd also like to speak to the council this morning about a letter that the San Juans Alliance, of which Friends of the San Juans is a member of, as well as a consortium of the Lopez No Coal Coalition, the Orcas No Coal Coalition, and San Juan Islanders for Safe Shipping, that we sent to you all last week on July the 25th. Ingrid has a copy of that for each of you. And I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Jarman, for responding back to that letter. The first point that I'd just like to ask on behalf of the San Juans Alliance is that this council has long recognized oil spill prevention and readiness as the #1 federal legislative priority, and that's why you spent time, Mr. Hughes spent time in D.C. But I'd like to see a nod today, an affirmation that yes, indeed, we are still moving forward with this as our #1 legislative priority, and that we're committed to commenting on issues impacting the safety of our citizens and our environment here in San Juan County. And that is a lot of the tenor that was raised in the July 25th letter. We have an extremely timely comment period upon us with the August 6th deadline, with the comments going to the Army Corps of Engineers on the BP refinery dock, DEIS. I believe the contractor who was hired, Ms. Pratt, to complete a scope of services included comments for that August 6th deadline, and you have those in your department head, Ms. Gibney's inbox. So that, the good news is that you have a completed work product that Ms. Gibney and Mr. Thomas need to bring to you for signature. The second point I'd like to raise is that oil spill prevention and readiness is an issue that San Juan County has not had the capacity to handle, and therefore the need to have a competent contractor assisting county is extremely timely right now. I'd like to encourage this council to make a firm commitment to this work. You have procurement processes in place that could instruct Ms. Gibney or your county administrator to enact a contract with similar scope of work, which Mr. Jarman does include a discussion of future processes that may need attention by this council. And with that, thank you.
Well, I'm not going to nod my head to anything, but in February, we passed legislative priorities with #1 being secure, adequate, dedicated, sustainable operations for capital funding for the Washington State ferries, and #2 being improved marine shipping spill prevention readiness and response. I spent my own personal time, my own personal money to go and promote this.
With all that, why wouldn't you nod your head?
It hasn't changed.
Well, then why wouldn't you nod your head?
Because it's right here. It's what we've been talking about.
Why wouldn't you nod your head then?
Don't need to.
Okay.
It's right there. We haven't changed. Nothing's changed. It is important to us in this community to move forward with this.
So I would just like to say, I think the San Juan Alliance ought to include the county a little bit more in their work. We've got this spinning going on, and not spinning, really good work going on, and we are not a part of it. And yet you're wanting us to make it a part of it. And I don't have a problem with that. I think it's good. It'd be helpful to have more information rather than less. We have a lot of work to do on the commenter status, as well as following up with BP for the Cherry Point. I think it's one thing that in this community almost everyone is united on, based on the turnout for the various open public meetings. And I'd just like to reaffirm that we are committed to this. Rick took time out of another meeting, as we all do. If we're going to be in D.C., we try to make it worth it. We've worked really hard with the Puget Sound Partnership for the past 2 years to even get it on their radar that this is an issue and that could affect the sound as well as salmon recovery efforts. I've been it's not even our representative because they don't even have to have us on there, but I'm on the Salmon Recovery Council. We've also fought and finally have a seat at the table at the Ecosystem Coordinating Board. I'm on the Action Agenda Oversight Committee, all of which have been pushing oil spill response as well as other shipping issues to the top of the list. We're also having a meeting again, trying to get ahead of the game with our state legislators in August, and we've also made our annual trip up with the Islands Trust, and again, as far as the Canadian tar sands shipments, we're working with them as background. This work needs to be done. It's going to get done. But again, it'd be nice if some of these, some of the work that's being done would include us, or at least that we would have it as part of our arsenal. And I hope that answers your question.
Could I just respond to that?
Sure.
How do you think that we could interface better with you? Do you think that should go from someone such as a consultant that is working on these issues, that is working with the county, or perhaps going through the county administrator to you, or do you think it's
I just think
better
if there's
interface
work
with one of
product
you?
out there that you think would be helpful for us as background so that we have it, I kind of look, it's like an old-fashioned encyclopedia. It's a lot easier for us to be able to do reasoned letter and response if we have a body of work to work from. And so I would work with, I'm just saying, if you're doing work out there, then why, it should be shared with everybody.
Well, and
That's all.
to date, members from each island do send each one of you counselors a copy of our comment letters for consideration. So to date, we've been exercising that once that we've gone through and created a pretty antiseptic comment letter, in my opinion. We do share that with you.
Right, I'm just looking for the background, okay? And usually the comment letters are at a time when we're all up against the wall to get it done. So that's so the background information is what I'm looking for.
And I think that speaks to the capacity issue of all of our organizations and the need to have someone on point in a way we haven't had in this county. So do you see taking an action on this anytime soon? I guess that's kind of the big question we're all asking ourselves right now, is how can we move forward with this?
Well, I think we can move forward with what we've been doing, and by getting the work that's already been done, and taking a look at that, and we'll work with our manager to make sure we're getting the background we need.
But who in the county would be signing that letter?
The letter, if it's coming from the county, it's going to come from the council.
And are you saying the council is going to be drafting these letters? Or do you see opening up another contract where you have someone doing that
I
preparation?
think the council would
for
be
you?
drafting the final letter, no matter what.
As we have
With the
with future...
background, as we have with the others.
We've been doing this for at least the 2 years I've been in office, and we've drafted the letter and signed it in support of it. All three of us, we voted on it and made it a public issue that we've supported.
Right, I guess I'm saying there's a sea change that's happened here, and you had a contract, you had articulated...
There's no sea
it.
change. We're moving forward with oil spill and shipment issues. We're very committed to it. I've explained to you exactly where we are, where we're in, where we're out, and we do need additional information, and we'll get the additional information. And as I stated, I've asked for you for the information that you have, also to help us as part of our arsenal.
So do you see that you still need capacity with this, with the
I'm just
contract?
saying, we will move forward with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Who next would like to speak? On the third row? Anyone? Third row? Fourth row?
Hey, Rick.
Yes, Bob?
Hey, Rick, you didn't see me nod my head, but I nod my head that my number one priority is with oil spill prevention, and it's always been my number one priority with oil spill prevention in the San Juans.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Do you have anything else to say?
No, that was it.
Great, thank you. In the last row, yes, sir.